Behind the ancient walls of the Vatican, something remarkable is unfolding. Pope Leo XIV is in the midst of transforming everything that Pope Francis established. And let me tell you, this goes far beyond mere tweaks. This is a complete overhaul that could redefine the Catholic Church for generations to come. Powerful cardinals are getting unexpected phone calls. Some are being transferred to different roles, while others face outright removal. What's striking is the Vatican's silence on these changes. This is far from ordinary church politics. We're talking about decisions that affect over 1 billion Catholics around the globe. What happens in Rome today will resonate in churches from New York to Nigeria, Brazil to Bangladesh. Now, here's the kicker. No one anticipated this shift. Pope Leo wasn't the choice most people expected. He wasn't the charismatic figure or the media's favorite. He was, in fact, the quiet presence in the background whom many overlooked. Yet, here he is, meticulously altering the course of one of the world's most powerful religious institutions. So, just who is Pope Leo XIV? For many, he was a relatively unknown figure until he ascended to the papacy, and that was part of his strategy all along. He's what you'd describe as a chess master. While everyone else played checkers, he was thinking several moves ahead. His experience isn't in rallying crowds or delivering fiery speeches. Instead, it's rooted in theology, strategy, and creating change behind the scenes. Where Pope Francis championed mercy, inclusion, and engagement with marginalized communities, Leo emphasizes structure, clarity, and creating lasting frameworks. While Francis aimed for a church that resonates with the everyday person, getting down in the dirt, so to speak, Leo is focused on making the church a steadfast fortress, organized and unified in voice. This isn't about Leo being unfeeling or disconnected. It's about his distinct vision of what the Catholic Church requires in the 21st century. Francis viewed a world yearning for compassion, while Leo sees one in need of direction. To grasp the significance of these changes, it's essential to understand how power operates within the Vatican. Unlike traditional governments where everything is out in the open, the Vatican operates under a different set of norms. Cardinals play roles far more substantial than donning ceremonial red hats. They oversee what can be likened to ministries, dictating doctrine and influencing the teachings of the Catholic faith. Let me share a little about the power dynamics within the Church right now, especially with Pope Leo XIV stepping in. Unlike his predecessor, Pope Francis, who had a very inclusive and merciful approach, Leo has a different vision. He's looking to shake things up, and that means some familiar faces are about to get the boot. First up is Cardinal Mauro Gambetti. Now, he's quite significant. He's the Archpriest of St. Peter's Basilica, the most iconic church on the planet. What's interesting about Gambetti is that he's a Franciscan friar. This means humility and simplicity are his game. Under Pope Francis, that was ideal because he transformed the basilica into a welcoming haven for everyone. People loved it. But Leo sees things through a different lens. For him, St. Peter's isn't just a warm spot for visitors. It's a powerful symbol of the Church's authority. Gambetti's gentle, welcoming demeanor might be great for a local parish, but Leo wants something different. He's after someone who can project strength and significance. Rumor has it that Gambetti is being reassigned to a quieter diocese, somewhere away from the spotlight where his style might be appreciated without putting him front and center. Then we have Cardinal Morello Seamaro. Now, you might not recognize the name, but his role is crucial. He's the prefect in charge of the causes of saints, meaning he essentially decides who gets to be canonized. This is a huge responsibility because the saints he promotes set an example for Catholics for generations to come. Amaro is highly qualified. He respects tradition and knows his theology well. But from Leo's perspective, there's a hitch. Amaro just doesn't capture attention. In today's world where social media drives everything, Leo is looking for saints who can go viral. He wants canonizations that create buzz and resonate with younger folks, drawing them into the church's fold. So, yeah, it's a significant shift, and it's happening quickly. Leo has his sights set, and those associated with the old ways might soon find themselves on the outside looking in. As the Church navigates the complexities of modern life, Pope Leo XIV is keenly aware that traditional approaches often fall short in today's fast-paced world. He believes that the process of canonizing saints involves more than just deep theological debate. It's about weaving compelling stories, effective marketing, and having an impactful cultural presence. Ultimately, he wants to transform canonizations into captivating global celebrations that reignite enthusiasm for Catholicism. Now let me dive into the case of Cardinal Kevin Frell. He oversees the Dicastery for Laity, Family, and Life, which is supposed to act as a bridge between the Vatican and regular Catholic families. However, there's a significant hitch. Frell operates like an old-school bureaucrat, prioritizing top-down management over fostering genuine empowerment. In 2024, this just doesn't fly anymore. Today's young Catholics crave authentic representation. They want their voices heard rather than simply being managed. Women in the Church, in particular, seek true involvement in decision-making, and families grappling with real-life issues need guidance that is relevant, not rigidly imposed rules. Leo recognizes the need for a shift. He envisions a church where lay people are granted real authority, not just an illusion of participation. This means Frell's bureaucratic approach needs a serious rethink. There's also another layer to Frell's position. He holds the title of Camerlengo, which involves running the church in the interregnum between popes, a role deeply embedded in the old institutional frameworks Leo is eager to reform. Then we have Cardinal Arthur Rowe, who might be in the toughest spot of them all. Responsible for liturgy, he has the significant task of guiding how Mass is celebrated across the globe. Under Pope Francis, Rowe was placed in a challenging position where he had to enforce some contentious regulations regarding the traditional Latin Mass. This was a sensitive matter, as there exists a devoted community that cherishes the old-style service, while Francis aimed for unity and limited its use. While trying to manage these competing interests, Rowe ended up alienating factions on both sides. Traditional Catholics feel betrayed by the restrictions on their cherished form of worship, and many progressive Catholics believe Rowe was too aggressive, fueling division rather than harmony. Leo is observing all of this and concluding that Rowe has inadvertently created more challenges than he resolved. He's in search of leadership that can build bridges and cultivate respect for different traditions, fostering an environment where unity can thrive without compromising individual expressions. The Church needs leaders who can connect with the faithful and champion their needs in a genuine and transformative way. Pope Leo XIV is on a mission to reshape the Catholic Church, and it all starts with a few key figures. If Roche is replaced, it will send a clear message. Leo values cooperation over conflict and diplomacy over strict enforcement. He aims to mend the rifts within the Church instead of exacerbating them. However, the biggest target on Leo's radar seems to be Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez. As the prefect of the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, Fernandez holds immense influence over what the Church officially teaches. He was a close ally of Pope Francis, crafting vital documents that championed a more flexible approach to church teachings, kind of like saying, life's complicated, and our teachings should reflect that. This philosophy has created a rift among Catholics. Traditionalists can't stand him, believing he's muddying essential doctrines and blurring lines that should be straightforward. On the flip side, progressive Catholics appreciate his nuanced and compassionate stance, especially when it comes to difficult issues. But for Leo, clarity is paramount. He wants teachings that are easy to grasp and unwavering. Fernandez, with his complex approach, might leave many everyday Catholics scratching their heads about what the Church truly believes. If Leo decides to oust Fernandez, it would mark a significant departure from Francis's legacy, steering the Church towards a more black-and-white perspective on issues. Then there's Cardinal Parolin, the Vatican's Secretary of State and essentially the Pope's chief diplomat. This role involves managing the Vatican's delicate relationships with governments across the globe. Parolin has been somewhat of a superstar, maintaining diplomatic ties with China, navigating tricky waters with Russia, and ensuring that the Vatican remains a player in global affairs. His methods have been characterized by caution and pragmatism. However, that may not sit well with Leo, who desires a church ready to take bold stances in times of moral dilemmas. If Parolin were to exit, it would denote a significant pivot in the Vatican's political engagement. We'd likely see a shift from cautious diplomacy to a more assertive moral voice, where the Vatican unequivocally denounces injustice, even when doing so poses political challenges. All of this raises the burning question: who will take up these crucial roles in the Church's future? Let's just say the strategy for replacing these individuals could dramatically redefine the path forward. Pope Leo XIV is shaking things up, and it's becoming clear that he has a new vision for the leadership of the Vatican. Instead of sticking with the familiar faces of seasoned insiders, he's looking for fresh talent from across the globe. Think about it. Instead of the usual bureaucrats, he's aiming for builders and innovators. He desires leaders who aren't just careful negotiators, but are ready to take bold risks for their beliefs. There's exciting talk about empowering more women, not just placing them in symbolic roles, but giving them real authority and decision-making power. It seems like Leo is also keen on inviting younger voices into the conversation, particularly those who resonate with modern communication and social media. Furthermore, there's a real buzz around selecting cardinals from vibrant regions like Africa, Asia, and Latin America, where the Catholic Church is witnessing growth. This isn't merely about a changing lineup, it's almost a complete reimagining of what it means to lead the Church in today's world. Now, you may be wondering why this shift matters to you, especially if you're not Catholic. Well, here's the scoop. The Catholic Church is one of the most influential institutions globally, operating schools, hospitals, and charities on every continent. Its voice carries weight in political decisions, social movements, and cultural trends. When the Vatican articulates its stance, world leaders pay attention. The personnel changes that Leo is pushing for will shape the kind of voice the Church has in global matters. Will it lean toward cautious diplomacy or adopt a more forthright moral stance? Will it uphold traditional values or will it embrace progressive inclusion? The way it communicates with audiences in the West versus the voices from its growing global community could profoundly impact everything: international relations, local parish life, the curriculum at Catholic universities, the Church's stands on social issues, and its responses to global crises. However, Leo's ambitious strategy won't come without its hurdles. The Cardinals he's targeting didn't earn their positions without some serious backing. They hold their own networks and have solid supporters. Take Cardinal Fernandez, for example. He's backed by progressive bishops worldwide. If Leo decides to make a move against him, it could spark a backlash that threatens the unity within the Church. Then there's Cardinal Parolin, who has cultivated relationships with various governments around the globe. Removing him might risk undermining the Vatican's diplomatic reach. Plus, let's not forget the differences that exist regionally. The needs and desires of the Church in Africa could vastly differ from those in other areas. Ultimately, Leo's challenge lies not only in his vision, but in navigating the complex dynamics of the current leadership landscape. The future of the Catholic Church is unfolding before our eyes, and it's quite a spectacle. As we look at the dynamics between different regions, we see that American Catholics might prioritize things differently compared to their counterparts in Asia. Pope Leo's vision is all about unity and clarity, but there's a real possibility that if he's not careful, this could lead to even more division. We're in a pivotal moment right now. How Leo navigates all these changes will really shape whether his approach takes root successfully or collapses spectacularly. It's intriguing, isn't it? Watching history as it's being made. The Catholic Church has been around for 2 millennia, adjusting to the times while staying true to its essence. But rarely have we seen transformations this rapid and intense. Pope Francis once offered a different mindset focused on adaptation. He opened the doors wide, fostering a sense of warmth, complexity, and mercy. Now, Leo is stepping in with his own style, advocating for a strong foundation built on clarity and firm principles. Each of their approaches has its strengths and potential pitfalls. While Francis inspired many, his inclusive message also stirred confusion and debate. Conversely, Leo's clear-cut stance could bring much-needed stability, but might leave behind those who appreciated Francis's broader embrace. So, what's on the horizon? Well, insiders hint that we'll see a gradual shift, a quiet evolution rather than bombastic pronouncements. Leo isn't about to create a spectacle with confrontations. Instead, he'll likely present these transitions as respectful changes, framing them in a positive light, all wrapped in opportunities for renewal. Yet, don't be fooled. The impact of these adjustments could be quite revolutionary. By the close of 2025, the Vatican could look drastically different than it did during Francis's era. Rumor has it that a significant encyclical is in the works, a papal letter that will lay out Leo's vision for the Church. This document could serve as the theological backbone for the upcoming changes, articulating their necessity and intended outcomes. And let's not forget about the forthcoming Synod on Synodality, a major congregation focused on decision-making processes within the Church. Sources suggest that we might see some bold initiatives, particularly aimed at giving more voice to lay people, especially women, in governance. At the heart of this transition lies an essential question. What type of institution will the Catholic Church become? Will it adapt to fit into modern culture or maintain an arm's length? Is it going to embrace a centralized, hierarchical structure or lean towards a more democratic and participatory model? Are we looking at a future that prioritizes mercy and inclusion, or one that favors clarity and strictness? The stakes have never been higher. There's something significant happening within the walls of the Vatican. Pope Leo XIV is making some bold changes, clearly indicating the direction he wants to take the Catholic Church. His goal seems straightforward. He envisions a church that stands firm in its beliefs, one that expresses a clear and strong leadership that doesn't shy away from its traditional values. You can sense the gravity of this moment, not just for Catholics, but for everyone. The transformations Leo is initiating may very well redefine one of the most influential institutions in the world. And what's fascinating is how quiet the Vatican has been about it. No press conferences, no formal statements, just a lot of quiet murmurs and speculations swirling around. As these shifts unfold, the outcome will hinge on Leo's ability to navigate these changes while keeping unity intact. It's a delicate balancing act, especially when considering the legacy of Pope Francis and the work he put into fostering a cohesive community. This isn't just a matter of change, it's about the foundation of the Church itself. Now, it's important to pay attention to how these developments will impact everyone, regardless of personal faith. The shifts within the Church could signal a groundbreaking change, one that we could be witnessing the early stages of. What's on your mind about Leo's actions? Is he making the right decisions to bolster the Church, or could he risk fracturing the unity that's been built? It's an intriguing question to ponder. The Church is at a crossroads, and the type of community that emerges from this transformation could have far-reaching implications. With over 1 billion Catholics looking on, the stakes are incredibly high. This is truly a historic moment, and we're all part of witnessing the outcome. As the story unfolds, let's keep our eyes peeled. It's going to be quite a ride.